Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. All right, thank you all so much for coming out. My name is Angela Tovar. I'm the Director of Community Development for the Point CDC. We're a nonprofit organization that's located right here in Hunts Point, and we're dedicated to the revitalization of the community. We're also members of the Southern Bronx River Watershed Alliance. We're an alliance of both community organizations and citywide advocacy groups that have been calling for 20 years for the transformation of the Sheridan Expressway and the surrounding highway infrastructure. For a long time, we have been advocating to keep trucks off of local streets, and we have been asking our elected officials to champion an effort to bring new infrastructure into the community that would take those trucks off of local streets and put them into the industrial area. So we've been fighting that fight for a very long time. And recently, Governor Cuomo, about a year ago, said that he would invest $1.7 billion into the transformation of the Sheridan, and in addition to that, new infrastructure for the community. We were supporters of that plan. We are not resistant people that are just trying to stand in the way of progress. We are informed stakeholders. We're motivated people that care about our community and want something better for Hunts Point. We are standing here because we acknowledge that this community has long endured environmental justice issues, environmental racism, pollution, poor air quality, and we want a better future. So today we're calling on Governor Cuomo. We're saying, please, the state put out a report that said that they would only consider one plan, and that would be an entrance off of highway ramps off of Edgewater Road. Unfortunately for us, that's not an option. Look around at all of these community amenities here. Right here we have a park that has only been online for 10 years, and that's a park that we've been advocating for as community organizations for a very long time. We're also right here, we are at the home of the Point's Urban Farm, where we grow vegetables that are stewarded by our young people. And then right next to us is Rocking the Boat, which is a fantastic youth development program here in the neighborhood. We don't want infrastructure to stand in the way of these community amenities. We don't want infrastructure to continue to pollute our communities, and we want to make sure that any plan that moves forward is fully vetted by the governor's office. We need to ensure that we use extra sensitivity and scrutiny as we move this plan forward, given the existing environmental justice issues here in Hunts Point. So I would like to call on our president and our CEO of the Point CDC, Maria Torres, who's going to offer a couple of words.
Thank you, Angela. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, there we go. All right, I got it. Okay, I'm here today to speak as a community resident and a parent whose children attended schools within the area and played in this very park. Both my sons attended Bronx Charter School for the Arts, which is right up the block on Longfellow. And coming here to this park, if I recall correctly, my son's kindergarten graduation was held here many, many years ago. And so this area is very important to us. New York State DOT's refusal to study an alternative plans and focus solely on installing ramps on Edgewater is disrespectful to this community and all that we've fought for. Not long ago, the city built this beautiful park and finally gave residents access to a cleaner Bronx River. Now, DOT plans to create a barrier by sending more trucks to this area. Children and families will have to cross a major truck route and breathe in all that pollution just to enjoy open space on the waterfront. DOT is also ignoring years of community planning and engagement because a plan for Edgewater ramps had been rejected by the community years ago. In my opinion, Oak Point ramps must be fully considered and studied because more trucks enter the peninsula using Oak Point Avenue than Edgewater, and the Oak Point ramps fall in line with the industrial business routes. The ramps at Oak Point would be built away from the Hunts Point residential community and away from where people live and play. New York State DOT's refusal to just study the alternatives because it may inconvenience CSX or for political gain is disgraceful. After 20 years of advocacy, we demand a fair and transparent process. Thank you.
Next, I would like to introduce a local resident and also one of our special community gardeners, Lucia Hernandez.
Well, I moved into this neighborhood, the Hunts Point Peninsula, about 15 years ago. And in that time, I joined a community garden, and I've been taking care of that garden for a long time. I actually even helped the point with the garden that they have over here to teach them some about the planting and putting the seeds on, and also harvesting the crops. And you know, it's a shame that after a lot of work that this community has done to bring this beautiful park that we have over here, get rid of some of the trucks activities that have forced so many children to go into the hospitals because of the asthma they get from the pollution, from the trucks and from the cars and all. Even coming from the Bruckner, we get the pollution from that area. Now the Sheridan is going to be built, and they want to put it in Edgewater, right here, just 2 blocks from where I live. Now I'm a disabled person, elderly person. I have multiple health issues. This is going to create a great impact on me, not just on me. What about all those children that have asthma? You know, what about the elderly people that live in this neighborhood? This is 3 generations of people that have lived here and stayed here in Hunts Point, struggling with all the things that they have struggled for. Communities, organizations like The Point, Mothers on the Move, so many different organizations, not just here but around, have helped us to achieve all these things, and now they want to take this away from us.
That ain't right.
No, it's not right. It's not right. I mean, I'll be suffering because of the pollution. I mean, I have to clean my windowsills all the time because of the black soot that comes into my home. And now you're gonna have more cars, more trucks passing by. How are the people gonna be coming into the park? You can't even cross the street because you have to be careful if you're gonna get hit or not. You know, we have children coming here every day in the summertime, in the springtime, to this park. That's going to cause accidents, and also the noise pollution from the trucks and the cars will be tremendous. So I'm hoping that the state will find other avenues, other places that they could go to build this ramp, because they have a lot of places that are non-residential. And I think it's important to keep this community going. You know, we're suffering as it is now. We have to stop suffering. We need to have some kind of way to alleviate ourselves from all these struggles that we're facing right now.
When I say edge off, y'all say Edgewater, edge off, Edgewater, edge off, Edgewater, edge off, Edgewater.
Okay, next I would like to introduce another member of the Southern Bronx River Watershed Alliance and the Executive Director of Nos Quedamos, Jessica Clemente.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your time and attention. This matter here is something that over 20 years we've been battling. 20 years we've been committing not only community knowledge, community experiences, community time and effort, and over again we've been saying exactly what we know to be the solution for our community, and all we ask is that money be committed to a fair and transparent process that ensures that what we know what ultimately will come into our community is in fact beneficial and is in fact something that is for the improvement. Don't disregard things because they're convenient is what the community is asking. We're an environmental justice community. We know that there's already issues here that are compounded. Don't add add to the problem and don't throw good money into a poor solution of which we've already taken 20 years to tell you this is not the option. After a thorough evaluation of that, you could tell us that it is in fact the best solution, then that's something we're willing to hear, not something we're willing to accept, because we still feel that the disconnect between our waterfront, the disconnect to the investment that was put into our waterfront is going to be money poured down the drain, that the issues around asthma, I suffer from asthma, I still suffer from asthma, is something that we can't shake off after generations and generations of community planning and community intervention. Let's do right by the community. If we're going to commit that money, let's make sure that it's well served. Let's make sure it's a thorough process, transparent process, and that it's something that involves and listens to the community that committed so much time and effort. Thank you.
Let us breathe. 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 Let us breathe.
Next, I would like to introduce our neighbor and another leader here in the community, Mr. Adam Green, who's the Executive Director of Rocking the Boat.
Thanks, Angela, and hi, everyone. So I'm Adam Green. I'm the Executive Director of Rocking the Boat. If you're not familiar, we are a youth development organization. We use boats to build kids. So everything we do has to do with building, using boats to explore the Bronx River, to restore the Bronx River, and to help young people experience things they would never otherwise have the opportunity to do. And the reason we're here is there are lots of kids who need services and support in lots of different places in New York City. But the reason we're here is because of the amazing opportunity the Bronx River offers. There's nowhere else in New York that we could be doing the kind of work that we do. We take about 4,000 people a year out on the water and give them one of the most unique experiences you could imagine here in New York City. You get out on a boat on that river, you could be anywhere. You could be, paddling down some waterway in the Adirondacks if you block certain views as you're looking. And that's a caveat, but nonetheless, is an amazing, amazing opportunity. It's one that we've used to impact probably about 20,000 people or so in the last 20 years that we've been doing this work, nearly all of which has been from this site. We started here in 1999 when the park was just opened as a community-led initiative and stayed through when it turned into a real city-managed park in 2007. Just bought our building actually a couple months ago. That's our building right there, right on Edgewater Road. So for us, this site is extremely important, not just for our own organizational sustainability, but for the impact that it offers as a connection between the amazing opportunities the river has to share and the people who live in this community. And so it is of great importance for us to maintain this access, and something like a major highway running in front of Rocking the Boat and in front of Hunts Point Riverside Park would be just a complete killer in terms of the impact it would have on our ability to serve the community and introduce them to the opportunities that we're about. Anyway, I think one other point to make is we're one of 4 businesses on this side of Edgewater Road, on this side of the train tracks, that actually use the river. Us, Sims, Sal's, and Casa are all very active businesses. We're the only nonprofit, but we very much see ourselves as part of the business community that actually uses the river. We're here because of the river. Sal's is here because that's how they get their scrap in and out, or out primarily. And that means we can't go anywhere else, because our businesses depend on this river. If there's a huge highway in front of us, that's gonna, make us go away. And I don't know where we'd go, because the river is so important and critical to our operations. So, this is of great importance. I urge the state to look at options and take a real close look at all the amazing things that are happening here and realize the kind of negative impact that this sort of a piece of infrastructure would have.
When I say don't block, you say our blocks. Don't block our blocks. Don't block our blocks. Don't block our blocks.
And as you all know, the youth voice is the most important in this space. Our youth leaders are people that we value are people that are so important to this effort, and they're really the future of this community and our campaigns. And so I'd like to introduce a special youth leader, Cecilia Arias.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to speak upon the projects that's been happening around the Bronx. It is, for me, it's very frustrating to see something we've been working on for 20 years, or probably even more, to see a plan that has been set foot for a change, a better change for our community, for our youth, for people like me, for a person that I grew up here in the Bronx since I grew up here. And for me to see a change that I wanted to see happen around my own community, to make it better, to make me feel safer, to make me feel healthier around my neighborhood, around other neighborhoods like right here in Hunts Point. It's very frustrating to see something that we built go down because they believe and they want to think that they're making a better change for us when it's not true. Us as youth have a voice, and I'm speaking for me and other youth that we want to see this change that we put forward first. I don't want to see no change that they want to make. I don't want to see them put a huge ramp in front of a park that we can go on, we can go have fun, we can be healthier, we can have, access to something that's beautiful here in our own community. Not something, I don't want to see something that is not gonna benefit me or anyone else. Like, I have siblings and it's unsafe for me to cross the street. It was safe for me to take my own siblings down to the park that it's gonna be blocked by a giant ramp, and it's frustrating. And what I want everybody to know that they need to make a study on that ramp for them to realize that it's not healthy, it's not safe, it's not what we wanted, it's not what we fought for. So thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce another exceptional young leader of our campaign, Cheri Davis.
Hi. Well, my full first name is Sheridan Davis, but Cheri is way easier than Sheriana, so. I'm 22 years old. I've lived here my entire life. I literally didn't know anything beyond the Bronx until 7th grade, and that was a school trip. I've watched playgrounds turn to wastelands, and I've watched parks be forgotten. I'm an overly active child that has grown into an adult grasping and gasping for air due to the pollution that the Sheridan Expressway has exposed me to. Nobody asked me if I wanted to be exposed to health risks such as asthma and other respiratory problems like tuberculosis and things like that. I've had problems in the past with phlegm in my chest. I had to take temporary inhalers. In the next few weeks, I'm gonna have to go to the doctor and figure out whether or not I do have asthma, which is amazing coming from me because I've been a triathlete my entire life. I've played basketball, softball, and flag football. So for me, I feel like asthma shouldn't even be something that's in my future or near future, but it is because I've lived in this community, like I said, my entire life. I've roller skated through parks that aren't even standing anymore. I've roller skated from the Soundview area, all the way to Hunts Point. And it's like, after you pass Whitlock, it's almost like a different type of taste in the air. It's insane to be exposed to this, not only as an adult that has, the choice to either not come outside or change where I go or get on the bus and go a couple blocks left or to Manhattan, wherever the air might be better. But for my niece and my nephew, they don't have a choice. My niece is 1, just got here. She's beautiful. She loves to run, but there's barely anywhere for her to run because of projects that the state DOT is trying to push, like this one. Too many parks have fallen for absolutely no reason, for the senselessness of an adult that basically has forgotten how to laugh, whether or not he wants to run or she wants to run. And it's unfair for them to take that choice away from us, not just being a youth organizer, but being an aunt. I like to take my niece and my nephew out, but I can't because they're gonna be exposed to all of this pollution. It's ridiculous. We barely have stars at night. Nobody even questions that, but we should. If the lights are off, if all of our lights are off, or most of them, and you look up into the night sky, you're supposed to see something, right? It's ridiculous. I don't feel like people that have never stepped foot into my community should have the last and final say on what happens to it. That's not fair for us. That's not fair. That's not fair for the kids that can't speak yet, like my niece. My nephew, he's a brilliant boy. He's above average in every subject. But if he can't breathe, how is he supposed to speak to you to tell you that? He can't. I can barely breathe right now. I can feel the phlegm building up into my chest. I have no clue how to get rid of that or how to deal with that. How do you treat phlegm? You ever thought about that? How does that happen? I have a really bad gag reflex for, that might be too much information, but when I have a cold, that's not the first thing that I want to do. Cough up something. That's not in my nature. I don't know about yours, but it's not in mine. So for me to sit here and have to deal with something that I have no say in is astonishing. And it's astonishing for anyone to feel like that's okay, because it's not. And if you feel like that's okay, then maybe you should spend a couple nights at my house. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheri. And last but certainly not least, you've heard many of the speakers today talk about the value and the importance of our local park and the Bronx River. So I'd like to invite to come speak one of our advocacy partners at New Yorkers for Parks, Lucy Robson.
New Yorkers for Parks is an over 100-year-old advocacy and research organization. We're citywide. We don't know Hunts Point, we don't know Longwood the way that these organizations do, the way that these young people do. But we've looked at the numbers, and we know that the state is studying a plan that will put 3 nearby parks, a community center, this fantastic space, and an elementary school at risk. The city just opened Lions Square Park on Tuesday. They spent 3 years renovating it. They spent millions of dollars. It is a beautiful new community space just north there, just a couple blocks up on the Bruckner. And what will happen to it if this ramp goes in? I don't have to tell you about the negative effects that you suffer because of pollution. But I can tell you, as somebody who's trained as a planner, there's a solution. This community has come up with another plan. The Oak Point ramps are legitimate, then they should be studied. It won't cost that much more, and that's what we should do. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. And now I'm going to invite all of the speakers to come back up and just throw it out if anybody has any questions for our speakers. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming, and we'll be here to answer any questions for you. We appreciate your time.
People united shall never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated. The people united will never be defeated.